Hello, so this is a new reaction game that I've just designed, and it's made from 6 microbits, and you have to touch the tinfoil pads in the order that the microbits light up. So I'll demonstrate it first. I've got 2 slightly different versions of this, and then I'll explain how it works. So I'm going to start with a very simple sequence. The microbits are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 from left to right. And the very first sequence, because I'm quite new at this, is going to be a really simple sequence, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so you can see how it works. So I have a little control microbit here. I press a button, and what it does is it starts the sequence. So the very first one is 1, I touch the pad, that goes tick. 2 is next in the sequence, touch the pad, it goes to a tick. 3 is next, tick, 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 and finally tick. Okay, so let me just do that one again, so I can remote control it from this. So I can now disable all the microbits again, and then I can start the sequence again. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The idea being that you can time how long it takes to run through that sequence, and you can practice it over and over again and get faster and faster and faster. So it's a reaction timer. So this was the simple microbit, and you see it has like a diagonal line on it. That's the sequence of the tests. I've now got a slightly harder one. So if I disable all the microbits, and this one is a slightly more complicated pattern, so this is going to be a lot slower for me to do. So let's start the sequence. No, let's press the right button, and then I can start the sequence. On there, number 1, number 2, number 6, number 5, number 3, and they're all ticked. Just do that one more time. Let's disable them all. So in the sequence again. 4, 1, 2, 6, 5, 3. Okay, so that's the board demonstrated. You can have any number of microbits. I designed it for 6, but you can have any number of microbits. They're all controlled by a radio, and it's got quite a clever system where the control microbit, which is used off camera normally, and from this what I can do is I can cycle through some modes. So I can D is disable, so it disables them all. See, they've all got a dot to say they're disabled. E is enable, so it enables them all. So any of those enabled microbits, if I touch it, it will go to a tick. T is trigger, so basically I can trigger all the microbits. So you see they will go to tick, and then that is the sequence. If in normal use, what I do is I disable, it disables them all, and then I choose the pattern. So I have 2 microbits, but you could have any number of control microbits, and this is really, really simple to then use at an event where you have you don't have to keep going back to the laptop, and you don't have to keep reprogramming the microbits on the wall. These have the sequence in, and what happens is when you press the A button cycles through disable, enable, trigger, and then the sequence. When you press the B button, it starts the sequence off. And how it works is the first number in the sequence on this. Let's try the simpler sequence because it'll make sense. So the simple sequence is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So when you press the B button, it sends 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as a radio message. They all receive it, and each of the microbits has a memory of its unique number. It's quite easy to rig up because when you press the reset button on the microbit, it shows you what its number is. So you can rig them up you can put it in any position, although for delivery and event, it's much easier to do them left to right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you can move things around into different positions and attach them. So when I press the send button or the B button when it's on the sequence, what it does is I'm just making sure I'm actually recording. Yes, I am recording. That's good. Could have been embarrassing. It sends the sequence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then number 1 hears it and says, "Oh, I will enable myself." So it goes into enabled mode, displays the whole screen, and the idea is that whoever's using it then sees that and they go for it. You can touch the pad, you can hit the pad. There's two strips of tin foil. You can cut those into any shape as long as there's a break between them, and you just have 2 crocodile clips tagged onto the microbit on the ground and the P2 pin, and it uses resistive touch sensing. So when you then touch the touchpad on number 1, which completes the circuit, it senses that. So it's now triggered, so it goes to a tick, and then what it does is it takes that sequence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it chops off the 1 and it sends 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as a radio message. And it sends quite a few radio messages so that if you're in a big environment with a lot of radio interference, one of them will get through. So now microbit number 2 has received a message that says 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that enables itself. If you touch any of the others, nothing happens, so because they're not enabled. So you have to touch microbit 2, and then it does the same. It says, "Oh, I've been triggered," so it puts a tick, and then it chops off the number 2, and what's left in the message is 3, 4, 5, 6, and it transmits that 4 times. So of course microbit 3 then receives that message and says, "Oh, I'm next." So it scales up and down to any size, and also once you've triggered it from the trigger microbit, you don't have to be in the environment to use it. Hope that makes sense. And of course you can have any number of these little microbits off to the side, whoever's running the competition, or and all you have to do is you load a file into the MakeCode editor and you type in the sequence that you want, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or whatever. You could have 30 microbits if you want, as long as they're all individual unique characters. And then to build the rig, what I do is I have a MakeCode file that says my ID is 1, and I download that onto the first microbit. I change the number to a 2, I download that onto the second microbit, and so on. So if I go through and if I reset any particular microbit, you will see that it's got its number. So I've done 1 to 6, but it could be 1 to 9, it could be A to Z. Any single character identifier. So you can build a really, really big wall with this as long as you've got enough microbits. Works on microbit version 1 and version 2. You don't have to change the code for either of them. Uses resistive touch sensing, which is 2 wires, so you have to complete the circuit because that's more sensitive, or in fact more reliable, we find, than using the capacitive touch sensing. Capacitive touch sensing only has 1 wire, but for the curriculum you have to teach conductivity and circuits, so it's quite good to have 2 wires and you complete the circuit. Hope that explains the project, and I hope you have a go at building it yourself.